Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. First, the headlines. The Consumer Protection Law issued by the Royal Decree number 66 over 2014 comes into effect from today. Construction works at the biggest sea fishing port in the Wilayat of Dukham will start in the second half of the current year. And in order to find new markets to promote Omani products, the Sultanate takes part in Shaiman Marble and Stone exhibition in China. Those are the headlines, and now the news in detail. Due to the flow of dust and the noticeable decline in the level of visibility because of the northeastern winds, the Public Authority for Civil Aviation called in a statement to the necessity of taking precautions and follow-up weather bulletins and not to venture to sea unless making sure of the weather conditions. It further illustrated that the latest numerical forecast charts indicate that the visibility will improve gradually by this evening. Construction works at the biggest sea fishing port in the Wilayat of Dukham, in the Governorate of Al-Wusta, will start in the second half of the year at a total cost of exceeding 30 million Omani Riyals. The construction works comes within the plan of the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth to develop the fishing sector and boost its infrastructure, in addition to supporting the fishing industry's area due to be set up in Al-Dukham. His Excellency Dr. Hamad bin Saeed Al-Aufi and the Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries Wealth stressed in a statement to Oman News Agency that the port project will consist of 5 anchorages for fishing boats, a crane for ship repair and marine basin at the area of which will be 1.6 million square meters. The port will also consist of wave breakers with a length of 2,243 meters and another of 1,175 meters, in addition to a 59-meter berth for coastal fishing vessels to load and unload fish. The Consumer Protection Law issued by the Royal Decree number 66 over 2014 came into effect today. It comprises 6 chapters, including definitions and general provisions, consumers' rights, obligation of supplier, advertiser and agents' violations, and penalties. The Public Authority for Consumer Protection had sought from the first day of its work to amend all provisions of the previous Consumer Protection Law in a way that guarantee consumer rights after many bad practices and demands by consumers to tighten penalties that protect the rights for all. The law's provision will contribute to attractive investment environment and encourage small and medium-sized enterprises to enter various projects. It's worth mentioning that the previous law included only fines as penalty, while the penalties in the new law raised and included imprisonment, fines, confiscation and destruction of labeling if the court deems that. Moreover, Article 42 of the law states that the chairman of the members of the Board of Directors, Chief Executive Officer, authorized manager and officials of the violating legal personality will be punished with the same penalty if it's approved that they knew the violation and their negligence can contribute to occurrence of the crime. In order to find new markets to promote Omani products, the Sultanate, represented by the Public Authority for Investment, Promotion and Export Development, ITHRA, took part in Shaiman Marble and Stone exhibition in China, which is considered the biggest event in this field. 6 Omani companies participated in the exhibition, displaying their local products, as Omani Marble has good standards that enable it to compete with 2,000 exhibitors representing various countries in the world. Omani companies succeeded last year in signing agreements to export more than 100 containers of marble and stones. In order to raise awareness among consumers and provide them with knowledge and skills to know their rights and responsibilities, the Consumer Protection Awareness Festival was organized in the Governorate of North Sharqiya. The event coincided with the Gulf Consumer Protection Week. Through various activities, the festival worked to involve all requirements of the society and various concerned bodies in the Governorate. The event also included an exhibition on all issues related to the work of the Public Authority for Consumer Protection. It also included procedures and booklets on consumer rights and other awareness issues. Still to come in a news bulletin, game makers are lured into virtual worlds in San Francisco, California. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. The Iraqi army and members of militia attacked the Daesh group forces in the outskirts of the Iraqi town of Tikrit. At least 3 soldiers were injured in that attack. The troops were unable to advance on the town due to roadside bombs and other explosive devices. The battle for Tikrit, a strategic city along the river Tigris, likely will be won or lost on allied Iraqi forces' ability to counter the extremist bombs. Tikrit, the provincial capital of Salahuddin province, is located 130 kilometers north of Baghdad. Tikrit was taken by the Daesh group along with the country's second largest city, Mosul, during the militia's lightning push that last year across the north. A man died in a landslide in Bosnia as a wave of storms also closed down roads, flooded villages and disrupted power supplies throughout the Balkan region, still recovering from record flooding last year. The authorities say the man was killed by a pile of mud, rocks and trees that smashed into his car while he was driving in central Bosnia yesterday. Poor weather has also been affecting Croatia, Serbia and Montenegro. Emergency officials sought to dispel fears that the rain and snow could lead to massive flooding, similar to that of last May, when nearly 80 people died in the Balkans and about 140,000 had to leave their homes. Local armed forces in eastern Ukrainian's key town of Debaltseve have been clearing mines and unexploded shells in the former battlefields as fighting stopped in early February, while dangers still remain. Located in the northeast Donetsk state and as an important transport hub connecting Donetsk and Lugansk, Debaltseve was badly ravaged by the continued fighting between Ukrainian governments and local armed forces in the region. The town was once controlled by Ukrainian government forces who turned farmlands into battlefields and front lines digging entrenchments underground and placing heavy weapons around. Since a ceasefire agreement took effect on February 15th under the efforts of several world leaders in Minsk, Belarus, the battlefield has been abandoned with entrenchments damaged, armored vehicles as well as unexploded shells and mines left behind, posing dangers for ordinary people who long to return home. Becky and the Sultanate, the 20th International Book Fair at Oman International Exhibition Center is due to conclude tonight. Its successful events. More details in the following report by Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubai.
The 20th International Book Fair at the Oman International Exhibition Center has been very touchable. 10 days of book exhibition has brought to the center individual writers, academics, researchers, intellectuals, scholars, students and book lovers, all dedicated to reading. The sacred theme, Iqra, that was divinely revealed initially to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, from the Almighty Allah Jalla Jalalu. It is encouraging to note that some 44 local government bodies and ministries have contributed literature of interest dealing with the institution functioning. 24 countries have also participated in this fair of knowledge.
To see all this variety of books, the diversity is so obvious, from science to Sharia to literature to art and all the various disciplines. That's one point. The other point, I think it is fair to say for us as Arabs and Muslims that at the turn from the first millennium to the second millennium, the Arabic language was the international language. It was the language of science, the language of culture. And now at the turn from the second to the third millennium, where we are now at this point in time, English is the international language. It's the language of diplomacy, the language of science, the language of culture, and everybody likes to learn English. And I know that cultures and civilizations go in cycles. So I hope the cycle will turn again for the Arabs and they will be in the forefront.
In order to strengthening book fair importance, both Oman Television and Radio have been actively involved in presenting on a daily basis the fair's significant role, as well as interviewing visiting readers, students, writers, poets in their live recitation and scholars with their presentations. Colleagues Rashid Al-Saadi, Hura Al-Farisiya and Muhammad Al-Mahri of Al-Fahras Arabic program of the Sultanate of Oman Television, together with other colleagues of Radio Sultanate of Oman Arabic and English services, have done a wonderful job in that respect as per the public input and thus deserve commendation.
Books are very important to me. It's more than hobby. Since, I don't know, I was 10 years old maybe, I was a very big fan of them. I was reading in all the categories, and they are really very important. I have around 1,500 books, and I feel that I lived like 1,500 times because every book has its own taste and its own writer, its own ideas, ideology, etc. So I learned a lot.
I am happy to come here in exhibition, and I am happy to get these books.
The number of books registered in the search engine exhibited at the fair is estimated to be more than 18,000, all of which have provided necessary knowledge to mankind throughout our world. With this rich exhibition is due to say goodbye here, we have no doubt that books readers will continue to search for such centers elsewhere, quenching their thirst for knowledge, until we become again and another venue of and another successful next year, inshallah. I'm Abdullah bin Ahmed Al-Rubai, Sultanate of Oman Television.
The insurance sector in the Sultanate has achieved growth in the total value of premiums in 2014 compared to 2013. However, the rate of this growth varied according to the different types of insurance branches. The value of insurance premiums in 2014 grew by 10% to hit 36.37 million Omani Rials from 364 million Rials in 2013 to 400.4 million Omani Rials in 2014. Health insurance branch recorded the highest growth rate with a 31% increase, followed by a transport insurance with 21%. Certificates of deposits tender was held at the Central Bank of Oman, CBO, this week. The total amount allotted for issue number 907 was 321.5 million Omani Riyals. The bulletin issued by CBO stated that the average interest rate of these certificates was 0.12%, whereas the maximum accepted interest rate was 0.13%. The tenor of these certificates is 28 days, so the maturity date is on forthcoming April 1st. The certificates of deposit issued to licensed banks by the CBO as a monetary policy instrument aimed at absorbing excess liquidity at the banking sector in particular and maintaining stability of the interest rate and the money market in general. The municipality of Ibra organized an awareness workshop on the health safety means. The workshop focused on health awareness and vocational safety, not only in government and private institutions, but also reached housemates, workers at restaurants and cafes. It comes within the context of the efforts exerted by the Ministry of Regional Municipalities and Water Resources. And finally, some 25,000 people have decided upon San Francisco to show off the latest technologies and video games at the Game Developers Conference and Exhibition. Developers here determine the future of the industry, which some analysts predict lies in the world of virtual reality. More details in the following report.
Virtual reality headset makers are out in force at GDC, aiming to lure the developers who can animate their devices with absorbing new games. Oculus VR still plans to pursue high-end PC-tethered headsets, but says mobile VR will soon hit the mainstream. Samsung's portable headset, powered by Oculus technology, Gear VR, looks likely to become a consumer product by the end of the year. Other players in the sector include Sony, which didn't demo its new second-generation Project Morpheus prototype due to hardware shortages. Graphics chip company Nvidia is rumoured to be working on a headset, and Chinese smartphone maker HTC is developing one with Valve. It's a race for commercial viability in an untested market.
And virtual reality certainly promises to offer some new angles on gaming and new perspectives, no pun intended. But whether or not it's actually going to translate into major sales or major interest from the mainstream is yet to be determined. We're still in the early days, even after 20 years, if you would believe.
Xbox creator Microsoft's latest gaming project, HoloLens, is not virtual but augmented reality, where a graphics layer is superimposed over the world we see rather than replacing it with full immersion. One startup that's been experimenting with VR and AR is Swiss firm MindMaze, inventors of a platform called MindLeap. These neuro goggles combine cameras and sensors which allow them to track your hands and even monitor your brain activity. They're already being used to help rehabilitate stroke patients.
We can do this in the medical space and have tangible applications, right? And coming back to all the way in a gaming space where it's more immersive, moving from just 2D gaming experiences and eventually into lifestyle kind of devices where you can do other things.
Plenty of small companies are gambling on the success of VR, including New York-based Feel Real. Its Ukrainian co-founders have created a mask that fits onto the Oculus Rift and other headsets, offering a multi-sensory experience.
So we would like to show that you can feel much more in like playing the 3D games and watching 3D movies. You could feel the different sensory effects like hot, cold air, then vibration.
Feel Real's about to launch on Kickstarter, hoping to stir up public interest in the potential of virtual reality.
Now for the general weather forecast. Clear to partly cloudy skies will prevail over the most governorates of the Sultan, with chances of flow of dust and noticeable decline in the level of visibility on the governorates of Muscat, North and South Batna, Musandam and North South Sharqiya, Dhahira, Brahmi and Dakhiliya. Winds will be northeasterly light to moderate along the coast of the Sea of Oman, while it will be southerly to southeasterly light to moderate along the rest of the Sultanate. Seas along the coast will be moderate to rough with a maximum wave height of 2.5 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we enter tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. The consumer protection law issued by the Royal Decree number 66 over 2014 comes into effect from today. Construction works at the biggest sea fishing port in the Wilayat of Duqm will start in the second half of the current year. And in order to find new markets to promote Omani products, the Sultan takes part in Shaiman Marble and Stone exhibition in China. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here in the newsroom and the studios, thanks for watching. Good night.